Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Barbie Experience podcast. I am your host, Isabel, also known as Isa, also known as Roller Skate Barbie if you follow me on Instagram or on TikTok. If you're new, welcome. This podcast explores our experiences with Barbie. Perhaps you owned Barbies as a kid or borrowed Barbies from your siblings or cousins, or were forced to play with Barbies with your siblings or cousins. Whatever the experience, in this podcast, I will be interviewing writers, actors, influencers, and many more really cool people on what it feels like for them growing up with Barbie. We'll be discussing Barbie's legacy, favorite dolls, of course, and why Barbie has become such an icon. Today's guest is an illustrator, a tabletop playing guru. She worked for Critical Role Productions, was a cast member of The Rivals of Waterdeep, The Dungeon Run, and Dimensions 20s, A Court of Fae and Flowers. And she is currently the head of marketing at Quest Portal. Her social media is fire. She is also a fellow former Chicago living, now West Coast expat. Welcome our guest, Surena Marie.
Hello.
Hi,
Thanks for
Surena.
having me. Hi.
Thank you for coming on. I'm so excited.
Me too.
Now, I know that you have I'm sorry.
No, I have no.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Remote is so fun. Continue.
I was just going to say, I know that you have a lot of really cool experience doing playing and D&D. Like that has been a lot of not just like what your career has been, but a lot of what you do, which is so cool. Like, yeah, how is that?
Wild. Bananas. If you would have asked me when I was like in middle school what I would want my job to be, I wouldn't even think that this would be an option, like at all, to play games with my friends and in work in marketing as in like the industry that I care about. So it's really cool and I'm very grateful. I think that I fell into this like very niche world of role playing and tabletop RPGs. Yeah.
That's
Yeah, it's
so
weird.
cool. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming onto this podcast where we talk about Barbie and our experiences with Barbie. I am super excited because I feel like this isn't a conversation that is had very much. And I know that the Barbie movie was recently released. I have always been obsessed with Barbie. So like for me, I felt like this was like the perfect opportunity to really ask people about her legacy. So I would love to just dive in. I have a bunch of questions to ask you about your experience with Barbies. And I think it's actually really cool because your background involves so much imagination. And I do think that like playing with Barbie dolls is very much also very imaginative. So when you were a kid, did you play with Barbies, and at what age, if you ever stopped, did you stop playing with Barbies?
Um, yeah, I think that I was always a kid that would play like make believe and pretend like that was my whole uh thing when I would go to my dad's house. I would hang out with like my niece and who was 3 years younger than me. Like saying a niece means that it seems like that she's like a baby, but no, she's 3 years younger than me. And yeah, we would play with Barbies, stuffed animals, and all of that. I growing up, we didn't have like a ton of money, so I didn't have like a big collection of Barbies. But I did have like one Barbie that I was very, very obsessed with. That was just like I remember yeah, just pl- I'm like jumping ahead, but
No, go for it. Please, no,
okay.
I want I'm so invested. Yes.
Okay. Um, no, but like I think I probably stopped playing with Barbies like around like when I got into middle school. Just
Mhm.
because I think they became more of like like collecting them. I thought that was like cool, but like actually sitting and playing, definitely, like you just kind of grow out of it. But then as soon as I grew out of it, I feel like I fell into doing theater. Like, so it felt
Yeah.
like from playing make believe with Barbies to, auditioning for plays and doing that. So I feel like it was definitely like a springboard into that world.
No, I think that's actually kind of hilarious because I also did theater. Okay, so this is the other thing
Yes.
that I think is so crazy why like I was so excited to talk to you because like you and I have a lot of similarities. Like we both lived in Chicago for a little while. We're both like comic geeks. We're like we both did theater apparently. I didn't know that about you. So maybe it's like
Amazing.
the Barbie to theater pipeline.
Yes. It's real. It's a real pipeline. Like
Yeah, you go from like dressing up your doll to just
yes,
dressing up yourself. You become the
yourself.
doll.
Yes. And yeah, I think what I was saying, like the Barbie that I had like fell in love with, I before our interview, I tried to find her because I'm like, okay, like was this a fever dream? Like I know that she existed because she was like tan and she had like an orange bathing suit and like brown hair. And I remember being like, oh, this Barbie looks like me.
Yeah.
Right? Uh,
Yeah.
and she was like my only like I think I had maybe like one other Barbie that I was like a hand-me-down Barbie, but this Barbie was like mine. Like it was like I picked her out at the store, like she came home with me, and I found her and her name is Miko.
Okay, okay, yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yes.
Yes. And yeah, it was like the tropical, like anytime there's like a bathing suit, she's always just like the Asian one. And I'm like, that's me. I'm the Asian one.
Okay, I looking so literally behind me. Okay, I don't have Miko. I have Kira. And because like so if you're listening to this podcast is also streamed on YouTube so you can see some videos and behind me I have like a bunch of Barbies. But she's not exactly, but she is the
Yes.
Kira with this is one of my favorite dolls. I also like I didn't this is not from this she's from the 90s. Unfortunately, my original 90s doll, I gave her away, but I did have her because of that same reason. I was like, "Oh my god, she has black hair,
Yeah.
she's tan, like this is I feel I this is me. I got her. Her and Teresa, like the other
Teresa.
brunette.
Yes. Uh,
Yeah.
I I wasn't sure if the Barbie that I had was Teresa or Miko. I think after looking through it, it was Miko, but like I went into a Google wormhole before our podcast about like Teresa and like the different faces that they like in different sculpts and like her like evolution through the like just Barbie in general. And
Yeah.
it's so fascinating because like I had no idea. Like zero clue. And it's great because I think Barbie there's so many stereotypes I think that come with Barbie, right? Like um but I think they've been doing a pretty good job at being inclusive for like a while. And like I didn't really know.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, so there's actually this really great documentary I think it came out in 2018 or 2017. And it is it's I think I can't remember what it's called. It's on Hulu. It's On Her Shoulders, and it's
Oh.
basically they were talking about creating the different body types because like one of the criticisms that they had gone with before it was because of Barbie's like proportions and how like she was not good for little girls and like
Mhm.
self-image and stuff like that. But now you have Barbies. It's Barbie is the most inclusive doll line. So she has the most shades. She has like super dark and super light shades. She has different hair textures, different hair
Wow.
styles, and they have different body types. They have curvy Barbies, they have petite Barbies, they have tall Barbies. So it's like it's in that sense. I'm like it is I think that the evolution of Barbie has been really awesome and also very just needed.
Mhm.
But also like I think I also appreciate when we were kids that there was at least like some diversity within Barbie
Mhm.
itself. And I do think it's interesting like what you talked about stereotypes because I
Mhm.
think that like those Barbie stereotypes like they didn't come from Barbie. Like they
Yes.
like, they came from people who wanted to, like, hate on Barbie or, like, wanted to be like, "Well, Barbie is a ditz," and it's like, why would Barbie be ditz when she had so many careers, when she was, like, a president
Right, she was
before
a
we've ever even
doctor.
had a president?
Like, yeah. Um, I think that there is something to be said about, this backlash against femininity in general, where it's like feminine, presenting people are often seen as soft, like demure, like all of these things that are quote unquote negative, like are softer attributes. And so people seeing Barbie and seeing that she has a beach house and she's going shopping and she's doing all of these like really fun feminine type culturally feminine activities. I think it's really easy to be like that's vapid, that's nothing, when it's actually no, she's enjoying her life and she has friends and she has this like story around like Barbie has lore, right?
Yeah,
Like Barbie has like deep lore and like a family tree and stuff. And
yes.
right. And so like people only see like, the packaging and then they make the easy jump to, oh well, that's just teaching girls that they can't be strong. And I'm like, well, no.
Right. Well, and I think, yes, everything that you just said, yes, absolutely. And honestly, like that was one of the reasons why I wanted to create a podcast like this. And in part is because so like I do a lot of like culture writing and culture journalism and in like the geekosphere, like the world of where people do culture writing, it is like very male centric
Mhm.
and a lot of times things that are femme and that have that like femme centeredness it gets diminished like
Mhm.
what you just said and it's something that like we have experienced for a long time that it's kind of like and even actually in episode 2 I was having this same type of conversation. I was speaking to Cecil Castellucci, who is an author, and she was saying that she felt she needed to like leave Barbie, but she never felt
Mhm.
like she had to stop playing with like her Star Wars action figures, which I
Yeah.
kind of I saw I felt a lot of that in the same way that it's kind of like I left my Barbies behind when I was like I think honestly I was 15 years old. I was like, all right, I'm done playing with Barbie now. And then once I was an adult, I was like, I want all of my Barbies back. And so like I went on the eBay hunt to try to like just see
You just found
like
them.
yeah,
Amazing.
I'm like, I need to find this one and this one and this one. I mean, I don't have them all. I have a few that I was like, oh, I love this one. And this was a
Mhm.
grail for me. This one, but it's like, I don't understand why culturally this has happened. And so like I'm really hoping that well, first of all, I think that it's cool because of the internet that we can uplift more voices
Yeah.
and cool people can talk about like the cool stuff that they love but I also have like a lot of faith and hope that with this new Barbie movie that it will kind of shift minds.
Mhm.
I don't know, like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that right now, like, 2023 is like such a great time for this like Barbie like resurgence, because it's like, because of the internet, we're seeing that like people, I don't like, I always saw Barbie as like sort of like a fashion icon, right? Like all of her clothes, incredible.
Yes.
Um,
Her
but
closet.
her closet, unreal. um, but like, even like seeing the screenshots, so I haven't seen the Barbie movie yet, but seeing like the leaked footage, the internet went bananas, right? And it felt like we were like uplifting this like icon that had always been there. Um and it was just really exciting to see, because of what you said of the feeling of needing to put away your Barbies. Like I did hit a tomboy phase, at some point too. Um and I was just like, "Oh, well, uh Barbie's like the girl toy. Like I do other stuff," or I know whatever it was. I was playing a lot of video games, and so like a lot of my attention shifted to just playing video games. But it's like, there are video games I played when I was 10, and if I talked about my passion for these video games, people would be like, "Oh wow, it's so cool that you played video games." Versus if I talked about my Barbie, they'd be like, "Oh, well, of course you played with Barbies because you're a girl." Like, and it's icky. So I think that it's a really good time for her like little renaissance, and I can't wait to see the movie. And Margot Robbie is one of my favorite actresses too, so she's gonna crush it.
Same. Oh no, I absolutely agree. And something that just it kind of it makes me think you were talking about like her being strong, and it's interesting cuz my mom, she had me when she was very young, and growing up I always thought my mother was like the most beautiful woman in the world, and I thought that she was like Barbie, but she was more like the Teresa Barbie, Latina Barbie. Um but I think that it's like one of the things, because like we didn't grow up with a lot of money either, right? And so like we grew up, my mom would sew my uniform. We
Mhm.
wouldn't sometimes like a lot of times like if I wanted clothes, um she would sew it for me because like we couldn't really afford to like go buy a lot of stuff. And I do think that like there was something in my brain, like this kind of like aspirationalness of like,
Mhm.
I want to be like Barbie. I want to be
Yeah.
successful. I want to own my car. I want to own my house. I want to have an amazing closet. And like, I want to have a boyfriend who's supportive. Like,
He's
Ken
just
doesn't even
supportive.
matter.
Yeah, he's there, he's supportive, and that's good for him,
Yeah.
like
I never owned a Ken. I think actually I think I owned one Ken, but I don't really remember. I had more Barbies than I did Ken, and honestly, in like my play, my Barbies were, if they were in relationships, they were lesbians because like
yeah,
I didn't really have a Ken around.
right, and it's like, what is Ken doing other than being supportive, right? Like, other than maybe driving her, like,
I mean, he's being cute,
he's being
but it's
cute.
just like, yeah, he's just being cute. He has his cute clothes, and
Mhm,
being Uh, he was not the centerpiece. It was always like she was the center. She was the main character, and I think that
mhm,
that's important in a world where growing up a lot of the stories that we have been fed is a lot of
mhm.
damsels in distress. A lot of
Yeah,
like, come rescue me, come rescue me, come rescue me, and this time it's like the dude is just there. I don't need to be rescued. I'm fine.
yeah, right, and, like, there's something, when you said, all of your Barbies, like, when you would play, they'd be lesbians, like, I identify with that as well, because, like, that's how I would play with my Barbies. But I also think about, like, how important Ken was probably to, like, um to, boys exploring their sexuality too, like, and having this, like, well-dressed, fashionable man that you can have and play with. Like, I think that that's, like, I don't know, not, I mean, Ken is dating Barbie, yes, but, like, having a male character that has fashion and is like well read, right? Because Ken always gave the impression that he like read a lot of books. Like he seemed like he was just like sweet.
Yeah.
Um that like in a time, at least growing up, where like men were like kind of violent, like male stories were about like heroes like shooting up places and saving
Yeah.
people. Then you have Ken, he's just a soft boy. He's just a sweet little like soft boy wearing his like cardigan. Like I'm here for it, you know?
He's the
Yeah,
original golden retriever boyfriend.
he
Like he's
is.
the OG.
Truly. Yeah.
Okay, so I, I love the way this conversation is going. So we have talked about the negative and the positive generally. For
Mhm.
you, did you have any like negative or like overly positive experience playing with Barbie? Like, did it impact you in a way that you felt like, my body isn't this way, or that it
Mhm.
maybe like didn't make you feel the best?
So, yeah, the story that jumps into my mind is so one year, I think I was maybe like 9. Um, I was picking out my Halloween costume and like I wanted to be Barbie. And I think like the Halloween costumes that were for Barbie were not for like little girls of my skin tone. But like I
Mhm.
didn't care. I was Barbie, so I remember putting on the costume and it had like light skin for my skin. And I was
Oh.
like, "Oh," and then it's honestly, I kind of want to find this costume because it is a nightmare. I genuinely surprised my parents. Were like, "All right, you want to do this?" But it had her face. It was a plastic like purge mask, basically, a mask
Yeah,
you would wear in the purge.
I remember those masks.
Yes. And so big blonde hair, big old white face. I look like a child of the purge. And I just hung out and I trick or treated that way. And I remember, so my dad, he was a bartender at a disabled American veterans bar. So like they do a lot of like events. And so my Halloween was often spent like hanging out with veterans and
Mhm.
their grandkids. And I remember a another kid being like, what?" And I was like, "Oh," and it dawned on me that like my skin was different. Um and like as a kid that like it sucked, and you know, as a first generation too, there's always that pressure to like be more American and assimilate and all of that. So I internalized that for a little bit. But I think honestly, I think that is probably around the time I found like that Barbie that we had talked about, Miko. I think
Yeah.
that it was around that time too. Um, but yeah, so I think that that was like it's hard when like licensees like the stereotype of a Barbie is blonde hair, white skin, pink dress.
Yes. No,
Mhm.
that yes, I agree. That is problematic. And
Yeah.
honestly, like it's funny because it's like I guess it's like my branding of myself has been like of being a Barbie, and I've been very particular about not saying like Latina Barbie, just being like,
Yes.
no,
Barbie.
Barbie, because it's like the whole thing is that the same way that Barbie is she can change genres. She also has many different races. And it's interesting because I would say now a lot of, whereas before the different dolls had names. So you had
Mhm.
Miko and there's Kira and there's Teresa and Christy. Now if you go to the like doll aisle and you go get any of the Barbies, they only have numbers. So it's like
Oh.
they're general enough,
Yeah.
and I'm like, dude, like these licensees, like you just said, they need to get on it. And actually, I want to show you my shirt because like you guys can't see, but like I got this at Target.
I love that.
And I'm so excited because like I've been seeing more of like
Yes.
this. that it's like, yes, we need to see more. Like Barbie has so many different skin tones, and it's
Mhm.
just, especially like for a costume for a kid, like
Right.
I'm like, do you know how many kids are gonna want to be Barbie? Like, and they're
Yes.
not all lily white.
Yeah, it's, I feel like I might just, like, mess around and, like, this year or next year decide I wanna be Barbie again for Halloween and just be, like, the Barbie that I want it to be, you know what I mean? Like, I might do that. I don't
Yes!
know. We'll
Oh
see.
my god! Yes! See, okay, I really so not a sponsorship, not a sponsored thing. But my big O hair piece, it is from insert name here, and it is a it's an celebration of the Totally Hair Barbie because last
Oh.
year I believe she turned 30. Totally Hair Barbie, which I will show you my Totally Hair Teresa because she's
Yes,
so
please.
real. But so we got Totally Hair Teresa here. But I want to do a cosplay in this dress. I want to do a
Oh,
cosplay with like Totally Hair Barbie in the green and blue. And I feel like that would be such a cool outfit for like opening of the Barbie movie. Total tangent, but
yes. I love that. Like, and it's so cool that you have that Barbie. You're like, "I wanna cosplay this." Like,
yeah.
that's so magical. Like
No, and I think so too. I feel like you just like you said earlier, Barbie has lore, and so it's like so. I'm very curious because I'm starting to like. Okay, how do we get Barbie? Not just propel her. So we have Barbie Core, which became
Mhm,
really big after a lot of the images were released, leaked from the Barbie movie.
mhm.
All like last year, I was so excited last summer because the color of the
Oh,
summer was like Barbie pink, which I'm like,
yes.
yes, let's do this. Um, but the other question is, so how is it that we can bring Barbie into like the fandom mainstream? And so like you're into marketing, I do some like journalism and marketing. How can what are some ways that we can like bring Barbie into the fandom mainstream so that like I mean, I feel like a lot of people are Barbie fans, but I don't
Mhm.
think that people would call themselves Barbie fans the way that they call themselves like a Star Wars fan or like a Batman fan. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, I haven't checked this show out, so, there's that, but I hear that the new Barbie, like, animated, like, show is really good, and, like, it was I don't know if it was a web show or if it was, like, on a channel, but I remember seeing clips of it and being like, "Oh, Barbie's saying some stuff." Like, some real life, like, meaningful things.
Mhm.
And I think, like, investing in Barbie-related media like the Barbie movie, I think is gonna be incredible to, like, boost that, and if they decide to make another one, absolutely, but, like, I feel like having, like, more Barbie cartoons, um, will catch, like, young people and, like and have it have stakes, not just, like, you know, like, because the animation now has changed so much, like, I'm a big, like, fan of, like, Gravity Falls and,
Yeah.
like, cartoons like that, and I think if we revisited Barbie in that lens, like, in the lens of, like, yeah, that's Barbie, but also, like, here's what she's dealing with, or here is, like, what her lore is, um, we'll start seeing more, like, subcultures and fandoms pop up because, people want to relate to the media they watch, you know?
Absolutely. Yes. No, that's a great thought. Yeah, there are a couple of cartoons. So I shamefully have not seen any of the like early 2000s like Disney Barbie princess movies.
Yeah, I didn't.
I was I think that was because it was like I had like I was like I'm over my princess phase.
Yes. Right, I was like, "Yeah, we're adults now," like Well,
Well, but okay, so on Netflix, there was this show that came out for I don't remember what year it was, but it's called Life in the Dream House. And that
Mhm.
one is it's funny. It's more so like goofy, silly. Like the stakes are good enough. They're not like
Yeah.
that high, but it's very entertaining. And so I really enjoyed that. I know what you're talking about. The new so I think that the new Barbie show that you're talking about, there it is on Netflix as well. But I've seen the movie, I have not seen the show. And I think one of the reasons why it doesn't appeal to me is
Mhm.
because it does feel like it is for kids, which I totally understand. So I don't like, I guess it's like my 2 cents to Mattel as they're like, exploring this, that it's
Mhm.
like, I think capturing the adult fan base would be
Mhm.
to create an animated series that is more so for adults. And it doesn't have to be like satirical. It doesn't have to be like
Mhm.
Barbie plus Rick and Morty because that would be terrifying.
Right. That would be very
No, like off
um,
brand. No.
off-brand, but it could be Barbie, Shira, Princess of Power,
Yes. Oh my
right?
God. Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Uh, yeah, because, like, Barbie has been around for a really, really long time, so, like, there are, people much, much older than me who played with Barbies, who have nostalgia for it, so, like, I think they a lot of people are dropping the ball on this because it's, like, cross-generational, like, nostalgia and having content around that, like, you can, like, I don't know, I feel like you could spark so many subcultures and so many, like, fandoms, like, talking about it and fictions and, like, all of those things that we see in fandoms like Star Wars.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I would love to see more people cosplaying Barbie because I know a lot of people do Barbie for like Halloween, but I'm like
Mhm.
I want to go to a con and I want to see a bunch of people cosplaying Barbie and not the stereotype of like blonde hair that it's like I know that you're Barbie, but you don't necessarily have to be a blonde to be Barbie.
Barbie, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, do you own any Barbies now?
I
And
don't.
if so, which ones?
I don't own any. I'm a plush girly. I have lots of stuffed animals and Funko Pops, but no
Same.
Barbies, and that might change. I feel like um, I don't know. After like doing my deep dives into Barbies, I'm like maybe I should get a Barbie. Like maybe I will collect these. I don't know, but the answer is no.
Okay. I understand. I would say that I will warn you of the danger is that as soon as you buy yourself one Barbie, the bug will bite again, and then you're gonna start like going into the toy aisle every time you go to Target or Walmart, and you're gonna start looking at like, I like this one. Oh, I
Oh,
like
this is nice.
this one. For
How
sure.
big is your collection?
I don't have that many. And honestly, I have a mix. So I have Barbie dolls. I have a couple of Disney like collector princess dolls, and I also collect Monster High. So
Oh,
in
mhm.
total, I have 150 dolls. Of Barbies, I would say I have like 70.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, it's my whole room is literally Barbie. Like I have like Barbies on shelves and it's funny because at first I was like, what if like I date someone and I like, bring them over and then they're like this girl has a Barbie room and then I got to the point where I was like, I don't care.
It's fine. They
And
will deal with it.
yes, and this is a family-friendly show, but if you're single and you're like, "I don't know if I should collect Barbies," it does not scare people off. I promise, it does not. It actually, like, does create a conversation, and they eventually start to be like, "Oh, this one's really cute. This one's kinda cool."
I love that. I yeah, I think that, like, it times are so like the world that we live in is so there's so much happening all the time. So like finding what brings you joy and like that you can collect that sparks that like happiness is just like so important. Like um my husband and I, we have taken upon ourselves, he more so, it is his collection. I just benefit from it. Um collecting every single Buffy the Vampire Slayer graphic novel in
Oh,
print.
that's so cool.
Yeah, so we have like a giant collection of like Buffy stuff, where we like collect like they do these like special limited edition books that are like the Watcher's Guide to Vampires, and it has like myths and stuff that they like used in the show. And so yeah, that's like the things that we collect. And I just think that like now that we're adults with adult money, it's just important that we like, I don't know, like heal our inner child and just do the things that make us happy. You
I
know?
agree. I totally agree. And I feel like growing up, my mom, she would like always decorate the house with like these weird paintings that like she didn't know who the painter was. And it was just like something random from like Value City or like Target or something or Big Lots. And I'm like, I'm decorating my walls with like prints and dolls of stuff that like I'm like, to me, this is art. I mean,
Yes.
it can I do have some dolls out of box that like if a child, I don't have any friends with children, but like if a child came over to my house, I would definitely like let them play with a couple of dolls.
Mhm.
And I have my dolls that I'm like, I'm sorry, child, you cannot touch that.
Yes,
That
yes,
is
this is
valuable.
collectible, this is rare. Yes.
Yeah. But no, I totally agree. And I there was an article I think it was the beginning of this month that had said that adults now make up a quarter of people who buy toys. For and I think that that's, to me, I'm like, that's legit. And I think that, I don't know, I think that we all have an inner child that needs to be
Mhm.
healed. And, especially if you did not grow up with a lot of money, that you
Mhm.
always wanted something, that is kind of like, why like become toxic and try to make other people live vicariously your life when you can do it
Yes.
yourself?
Right, and, like, um, I think the beauty of the internet, like, with its, because its downsides and all of that stuff, but, like, I think that it is so powerful in, like, letting us have these windows into other people's lives and know like, hey, like, I also collect this thing. I can talk to somebody who is in this community with me, and finding those communities more so than, like the 80s when people had the only community they had were physical communities on their street in their neighborhood. And if they weren't adhering to those community like standards of like what they're wearing, what their car was, like they would feel like sad about it, or like they have to keep up with their neighbor, versus now we can just like live our lives. And I think that's why you're seeing more millennials and Gen Z purchasing toys, because like why not?
Yeah.
Like who there's no like popular girl or man hierarchy that's telling us to not do it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, there's like, why live with that toxicity? I feel like
Yeah.
I feel like millennials and Gen Z is just like everything is so toxic. Why?
Why? Like, I'm exhausted. Like, let me just like find my little nugget of happiness, Jesus. Like,
Okay. Oh my God, this is such an awesome conversation. So I know we did talk about the Barbie movie, but I do my very specific question was,
yes.
what are your expectations, if any, for the Barbie movie?
Hmm. I think it's just gonna be a good time. I think that it looks pretty funny. Like, I think it's just gonna be like, uh, and like some deep cut like toy lore, like with like, maybe we'll see like her dream car or things that are like very easy Barbie thoughts. Right?
Mhm.
Like, I don't anticipate it changing my life, but I do, and I cannot wait to see those fashions. I I think it's going to be just like gorgeous. Like I will want every single piece worn on Margot Robbie. Like I know this.
Yes.
Like,
Yes, and I think that the other cosplay that I do want to make, is that, the one that leaked of the rollerblading,
it's so
because
good.
I'm a roller skater and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Really, this, like, totally makes sense. I need to do this."
Yes, you have to. It would be so perfect for you.
All right. Well, this is going to wrap up our interview. Thank you so much, Surena, for coming on and sharing your Barbie experience. Where can people find you on social media? And do you have any projects or books or anything, any upcoming RPG lives or anything that you're doing that you would like people to know about?
Sure. You can find me on Twitter at Surena X Marie, or on Instagram at Surena Isabel. I do kind of haunted illustrations there. As far as shows, I'm doing the Dungeon Run every Wednesday at 6 p.m. on twitch.tv or twitch.tv/the Dungeon Run. They'll be so proud of me. I nailed it. And also, if you like cozy adventures, you can check out Journeys to the Radiant Citadel. I wrote the first adventure, and it's super cute and full of lots of food. So that's me.
Awesome. I
Thank-
love it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. You can find me on Instagram at Rollerskate Barbie or Isabel S. Diepa, both on Twitter and Instagram, or on TikTok at Rollerskate Barbie _ Rollerskate Barbie was completely taken, so I was so sad.
Rude.
Very right? Rude. I'm like, can I please have this handle?
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This was like a delightful conversation, and like truly, like, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, I will see you on the internet, Surena, and I will see everyone else for the next one. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.